Well, thank you. I'm really excited to talk about our company, Cash Converters. A number of you may know the business. We've invested significantly over recent years building out our technology platform, not only customer facing, but a data-driven business now, and building some pretty leading edge credit risk models and data science approach in Perth and Brisbane. The business model originally was one of a buy-sell model, and it's expanded now to focus on personal finance and lending to our customers. The actual model is quite unique. Under a store roof, we've got the three business lines operating with a lot of crossover. When you walk into a store, it's generally to solve a cash need, we think, with our customer base, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but you've got an opportunity to sell your inventory or item to us that we procure to then sell as inventory to a customer. And as I say, you can also use items of collateral for loans, or you can take an unsecured loan all under the one roof of our stores. The circular economy term is quite prevalent in Europe, and not procuring any of our inventory through warehousing or wholesale procurement. It does lend to a unique model where any store you go into across the country, you will find something different, and it provides a challenge for just generating inventory, unique inventory. But we feel with 150 stores in Australia and 700 globally, we've solved that challenge, and now we're really focused on extending our technology to reach more customers. We have been around for a long time. We do have a strong balance sheet. We've been operating for nearly 40 years. We've got about 60 mil of cash on the balance sheet, and it puts us in a good position to consider strategic opportunities I'll talk about. But half of our network in Australia is franchised still, and we see that as an opportunity going forward, as is new product development and reaching new customer segments. Our global network is 700 stores. I think our core focus has really been Australia. That's where, a couple of years ago, 95% of our earnings was coming from. Half the network is franchised of our 154 stores. So we work in partnership with our franchise partners operating the Australian model. Over time, we've expanded to have equity ownerships in some of our international operations. Close to home, New Zealand makes strategic sense for us culturally, and from a management span of control, it fits in quite nicely to our business. And again, half and half franchised and corporate there, and we own that operation and operate as a master franchisor in the yellow boxes or circles, sorry. Same in the UK. We've just recently made an acquisition of our largest franchise group in the UK, 42 stores, and we operate 146 franchise stores as the master franchisor. The rest of the world, we partner with master partners and take a royalty for that provision of technology and IP and trademark. Just to try and outline our business model, which, as I touched on, under a store roof, there is a lot going on, but predominantly we look after a section of the community that is largely excluded from accessing financial services. This is primarily due to our customers either having a thin credit file, no credit file, or some markers on their bank statements that prevent them from having access to a mainstream service provider. Now, we do sit under the National Credit Act. We are regulated by ASIC and AUSTRAC, and we have responsible lending obligations like the banks. So as a customer comes into our business and presents, if we're thinking about extending an unsecured personal loan to help that person get back on their feet or to meet a need, and then to start to build that credit profile over time that will allow them to access lower cost, longer term options, we've really had to deploy technology to essentially build a credit profile of that borrower that a well-known credit bureau would do for a prime market. Traditionally, people have entered our business through a small loan product. That's traditionally been referred to as a payday loan, but under the legislation, it's called a small amount credit contract, or a SAC. And it actually has a lot of very sensible protections built into the Credit Act that cap pricing, cap fees, cap the cost of credit, and provide a whole range of protections for the consumer. A presumption of unsuitability really exists for that loan. When someone comes in, we have to satisfy ourselves that not only is the loan going to be repaid, but is that loan good for the consumer? And as over time people build their credit profile with us, we can then offer them longer term and lower cost loan options. About 65% of our earnings is coming through our finance business, so it's a big focus for us. About 25% of our earnings through our retail store network, and the rest through the franchise royalties that we collect globally. So a majority of the earnings driver for this business now is the finance business, and online has grown significantly. And I think we're at a point in time where demand through the community is increasing at a rate that we haven't experienced before, as cost of living pressures are starting to increase and interest rate rises are biting. We've also seen the advent of buy now, pay later really explode across the Australian retail sector and our consumer base. And that product operates with an exemption under the National Credit Act. So I think it's really important that there are well-regulated, larger providers of finance into this part, this sensitive part of the community that operate in a responsible way. We're really focused on using our technology to offer different innovative products to what is referred to as a subprime credit market to help people lower cost and move through and build a profile. So the small loan SACC loans are up to $2,000 in 12 months in term. The medium loans are up to $5,000 and up to 24 months in term. They're completely unsecured. That's just a personal loan that someone applies for and takes cash. We do then offer secure loan options. So we've got a vehicle loan that's secured against a vehicle, and a pawnbroking loan is a small secured loan essentially that is secured against a piece of jewellery held as collateral, and if not fully paid or redeemed, that item is then sold through the retail network as a form of debt recovery. And if there's any residual equity in that transaction of the loan amount owing versus the sale of the product that's in the customer's favour, that gets reimbursed to the customer. It's actually a really unique form of microfinance that is sometimes misunderstood, but operates, it still plays quite a significant part in the subprime credit market. And then we're innovating new products, as I say, lower cost, more flexibility. A lot of the products that many people in this room would have access to, we're trying to extend to our customer base to help people out. And all of the product is operated through our store or online. So we operate with big scale. We process 50,000 odd applications a month for a simple unsecured personal loan, a SACC or a MAC, and we process about 50,000 retail transactions a month. So it's a massive data-led business now. And I think the challenge when you're offering personal finance online is to responsibly meet your obligations and then to somehow determine the propensity of that person borrowing to repay you with a credit model. And like I say, we feed our credit models with a massive amount of historical data and external data sources to try and build a profile or a lookalike of that person when they present to predict how they're going to behave. And ultimately, overextending to someone or having someone not able to pay a lender back is not a good outcome for anyone. And we do take our responsible lending obligations seriously, and we have had a past of different issues with the regulator and different challenges trying to solve this problem that I think we now have with our technology and our platform. And all of our point of sale and lending platform technology is built in-house in Australia, out of Perth, supported out of Brisbane. It allows us to remain nimble. It allows us to control our technology. About growing to almost 20% of our retail transactions are transacted online now. And we operate a unique model there where the item's listed in store when it's procured and it's dispatched from that store. So a customer can go into the store and see the item, or we will transport the item nationally and we'll attach a 90-day warranty. We do provide a safe environment for that transaction to happen. A lot of people will find our items listed on one of the big online marketplaces, but like the opportunity to come into a store and not deal with a stranger and have that security and that comfort of a bigger corporate backing. Our online loan applications, like I say, we receive 92% of our applications online. We really use our technology in an automated fashion to decline a lot of that flow that we don't think is either suitable for the customer or a good credit risk. Every loan application that then gets through that first process runs through another process with a credit overlay. But ultimately, every loan that's approved is reviewed by a manual assessor out of Brisbane in Taringa, where our operation is. So we take great care before we actually extend finance to anyone. We have the vehicle business also operates under a separate brand called Greenlight Auto, and that's a B2B broker-dealer panel position in the subprime markets where we offer vehicle finance through that channel. And we have just generated a Cashies car loan for the first time, where we're offering car finance through our store network. As I say, I think the thing here that I really would like to focus on is the machine learning element of our business. We've got 7 or 8 data scientists that we didn't have a few years ago. We're feeding our credit models with over 400 attributes. We take bank statements, we take credit files, we take a lot of information in to try and build a profile of a borrower. And it allows us to be quite specific as to who we choose to extend finance to. And it's really assisting with our provisioning around our loan books and our loss rates coming down. And that bringing that overall cost down to our business means we can pass some of those benefits through to our customers, where we can risk-base our pricing to a subprime borrower for the first time, which is really, I think, quite exciting. I think the scale with the technology really brings an advantage for us. You really need to have a great history of performance of people in your segment, and I'm talking, millions of bank statements and millions of customer records, millions of loans written to then train the machines and the models to predict an outcome with the borrower going forward, constantly adapting for future trends and anticipated increases in inflation or other external events. And it's really quite a science as to how that's conducted, which is impressive to see in a business like Cashies, which you might not expect operating that kind of function, operating on that sort of scale and deploying some pretty leading edge technology. Just briefly, our highlights. We've got pretty strong loan book growth off the back of COVID, when a lot of stimulus was put out through our customer segment in particular. Our loan books really paid down. They started performing in quite a prime way. Our loss rates really dropped. Our dishonour rates really dropped. But that customer cash that was received through the government stimulus has largely been spent, and we're seeing a big recovery in demand for product and finance, and we're seeing the loan books grow. I think the key point here is that growth rate and that gross loan book up 31%, $268 million, is coming less from the small loan product that I was talking about. We've seen really strong growth in the medium loan and the other loan products. And that's feeding through to really strong top line revenue growth and double-digit EBITDA growth as well, which is great to see. And again, the loan book profile is just showing the expansion of the new loan products is something we're really focused on, and we're continuing to innovate and deliver new product as we speak. And that really brings me to our strategy. I think this business is positioned now in a way where we have a great platform that we've invested heavily in that gives us a really significant competitive advantage. And I think as we can take that platform and that technology into new customer segments, we're really releasing a lot of new product that will change the look and feel of this business. We're opening new stores. We've got 150, like I say, in Australia. I think we could probably have another 50 locations in Australia alone. We've got a smaller store concept where we're buying high-end watches, handbags, sneakers. That sort of inventory mix is changing, and we're seeing a different demographic coming into the business, probably more of Middle Australia starting to transact with us, and a change in the customer profile, which is really interesting. And we play an important part in that ESG position as well, obviously, as we eliminate landfill and reduce the manufacturing emissions by using the pre-owned sort of model to propagate our inventory. And younger people are obviously more willing to buy something pre-owned than maybe older generations were in the past, which is good for us. And we will keep acquiring our franchise networks, and their earnings are accretive day one, and we can fold them into our corporate model quite easily with our management teams and our onshore management overlay. And our operational excellence just continues. We continue investing in our technology. We've just released a new customer app. We've got a great online retail and lending site, and we've got leading edge technology under the hood, as I say. So I think it's an exciting time for this company. We are paying the dividend. We've paid 2 cents per annum for the last 3 years. And, we do have a strong cash position to keep growing. So thank you for listening. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to answering any questions after. Thank you.